In the headlines of this hour on VTV News. Prime Minister urges finalizing private economic sector development project. And later on, Vietnam and Armenia strengthen bilateral friendship. Asia-Pacific markets mixed as U.S. to roll out reciprocal tariffs.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good morning. It is 8 a.m. local time in Hanoi, and you're watching VTV News. I'm Huyen Chen with the top stories. Party General Secretary Tô Lâm reaffirmed that Vietnam always considers Russia one of its top priority partners in its foreign policy, while receiving Russian Ambassador to Vietnam Gennady Bezdeko in Hanoi on Wednesday. The party chief affirmed that Vietnam wishes to maintain their good traditional relationship, thereby meeting the interests of both nations and contributing to peace, cooperation, and development in the regions and internationally. Ambassador Gennady Bezdeko affirmed that Russia regards Vietnam as a traditional and priority partner in the Asia-Pacific region and desires to strengthen the traditional friendship and effective cooperation in all areas of mutual interest. He committed to encouraging relevant Russian agencies to cooperate closely with Vietnamese partners to further enhance and deepen the comprehensive strategic partnership. He and the Russian embassy in Vietnam pledged to promote bilateral collaboration, especially in key areas such as defense and security, trade and investment, and new potential fields. King Philip and Queen Mathilde of Belgium, along with representatives of leading Belgian businesses, visited Quảng Ninh on Wednesday, showing the northern province continues to be a destination chosen by many investors from Belgium, as well as the European Union or EU. King Philip is impressed by the province's socio-economic achievements and recognizes its great advantages and strong potential that provide cooperation opportunities for European nations, particularly Belgium. The secretary of the Provincial Party Committee described the visit as a significant milestone in cooperation between the province and Belgian businesses and localities, opening opportunities for the two sides to strengthen their comprehensive collaboration in the coming time. On the same day, King Philip and Queen Mathilde attended the inauguration of the Deep Sea Service Complex at the Bac Tiên Phong Industrial Park in Quảng Yên Township. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính chaired the second meeting of the National Steering Committee on the project to develop the private economic sector on Wednesday. The meeting aimed to review the implementation of project tasks to submit to the Politburo.
After the meeting, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính commended the efforts in drafting the private economic development project. He urged the steering committee to incorporate members' feedback to refine the plan further. The Prime Minister emphasized the need to clearly define the project's scope until 2030, with a vision toward 2045, aligning with party resolutions and guidance from Party General Secretary To Lam. Stressing the sector's crucial role as a key driver of economic growth, he underscored the importance of mobilizing all available resources to enhance national development.
The protection of property rights and the right to freedom of business in various forms must be emphasized. Additionally, ensuring equal access to natural resources and national assets is essential. We must shift from a passive approach, merely addressing administrative procedures and challenges, to a proactive stance that fosters private sector growth, streamlines costs, and eliminates unnecessary bureaucratic hurdles.
Regarding project tasks and solutions, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính requested setting a higher target for the private sector's contribution to the economy, clarifying the target of increasing labor productivity, continuing to build an open institutional framework, promoting public-private cooperation, diversifying resource mobilization models, and developing strategic infrastructure for sustainable development. The Prime Minister tasked the Ministry of Finance with researching and formulating a draft law on the private sector economy.
Now, during a meeting with the Belarusian Deputy Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh reaffirmed Vietnam's appreciation for Belarus' long-standing support and emphasized strengthening bilateral cooperation. He called for increased high-level exchanges, expanded trade and investment opportunities, and deepened collaboration in defense, education, and tourism, including direct flights between the two countries. Welcoming Belarus' plan to invest in a KAMAZ automobile factory in Vietnam, he urged expedited licensing. He requested greater market access for Vietnamese goods. Belarus pledged to support Vietnam's railway development and facilitate the Vietnamese community in Belarus. On April 1st, National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn, along with his wife and a high-ranking delegation, arrived in Armenia to begin an official visit at the invitation of Armenian National Assembly Chair Alen Simonian. The visit aims to strengthen diplomatic ties and parliamentary cooperation.
National Assembly Chairman Tran Thanh Man has begun his first official visit to Armenia, marking the highest-level Vietnamese delegation to the country since diplomatic ties were established in 1992. As part of the visit, a business forum was held, where both sides highlighted the untapped potential in trade and investment, particularly in wine exports, textiles, agriculture, energy, education, and technology. Officials emphasized that economic cooperation is key to deepening bilateral relations. National Assembly Chairman Tran Thanh Man reaffirmed Vietnam's dedication to institutional reforms, especially in improving the investment and business climate.
Armenia is known as the Silicon Valley of the region, boasting a strong IT industry, while Vietnam is actively driving digital transformation across all sectors. I encourage businesses from both countries to collaborate in software development, artificial intelligence, and high-tech solutions for education, healthcare, and smart urban management. Vietnam can supply tropical agricultural products such as coffee, cashew nuts, and seafood, while Armenia brings expertise in processing high-quality agricultural goods, especially wine and dried fruits. Strengthening cooperation in these areas will boost trade turnover and meet the diverse demands of both markets.
National Assembly Chairman Tran Thanh Man called for greater efforts to facilitate business exchanges and investment opportunities between Vietnam and Armenia, particularly in sectors with strong potential. He emphasized Vietnam's readiness to serve as a bridge for Armenia to enhance ties with ASEAN, and expressed hope that Armenia would do the same for Vietnam in the Asia-Europe economic region.
Coming up next on VTV News. Asia-Pacific markets mixed as U.S. to roll out reciprocal tariffs. And Vietnam Reunification Day in the hearts of international friends.
When it comes to business, it's crucial to choose a smart location with global impact. And Vietnam might just be the location for you. Connect worldwide to advanced logistics networks. Smart hub for technology and innovation. A dynamic business ecosystem. An environment with a competitive edge.
Now moving on to some world affairs, U.S. President Donald Trump will soon announce reciprocal tariffs of up to 20% on goods imported into the U.S. on Thursday. Asia-Pacific markets are currently planning different scenarios to assess the potential impact of the tariffs that the U.S. administration may impose.
The broad scope of the U.S. reciprocal tariffs affects many industries. Agriculture includes wine, vegetables, fish, meat, and processed seafood. The industrial sector includes automobiles, machinery, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, jewelry, and electronics. That means all products exported to the U.S. with tariff differences are subject to charges. That makes products exported to the U.S. less competitive. However, this tariff also creates an opportunity for U.S. exporters to become more autonomous and flexible in finding alternative markets.
Perhaps this would push our OEMs and push our component manufacturers to become more competitive and start making products which are right now importing. So one way to be self-reliant, and one way also to mitigate tariffs if they are here to stay.
The imposition of U.S. tariffs negatively impacts trading partners and the U.S. itself, as it's also affected by retaliatory tariffs from other countries.
If the Trump administration continues to raise tariffs in the medium and long term, the free trade system will undergo major changes. It's because the free trade system is largely based on the principle that goods must be produced where the cost is lowest.
If tariffs are imposed, prices of goods around the world could increase, which will become a matter of concern.
And the new U.S. tariffs will impact fruit, vegetables, and nuts, which make up at least half of the agricultural imports into the U.S. As the U.S. is a key market for Vietnamese products, this presents an opportunity to highlight their quality and diversify export markets. Despite market fluctuation, agricultural exports in the first quarter reached $15.7 billion, up 13% from last year.
This packaging facility has received its first orders. After 3 months of declining fruit and vegetable exports, with durian exports down 80%, farmers and enterprises are keenly aware of the consequences of an unsystematic process.
We collaborate with the growing area and testing center to collect samples for analysis. We hope that the Yên Giang province will establish a testing center.
While the fruit and rice sectors declined, the first quarter saw growth in several products, boosting the overall sector. Despite a decrease in volume, the value of rubber, pepper, and coffee rose by nearly 50% compared to last year. The sector expanded beyond traditional strengths in aquaculture, tapping into high-potential products like eel, tilapia, and offshore aquaculture.
We collaborate with localities to establish new farming areas and practices, forming cooperatives, and linking breeds and processes to processing plants for traceability.
While forecasts for the second and third quarters show an upward trend, new market requirements will impact the agricultural sector. To adapt, several policies are planned to secure the market for Vietnamese products.
We need to focus on harmonizing the interests of both countries. This approach will reduce the impact of U.S. tariffs on agricultural products.
The agricultural sector grew by nearly 3.7% in the first quarter, reflecting the impact of production restructuring and market adaptation. However, reaching the 4% growth target and $65 billion in export turnover, with the potential to hit $70 billion this year, remains a challenge.
Consumers nowadays value the locality and the natural origin of products, so regional specialties are increasingly popular and have a firm position in the domestic and international markets. Through efforts to overcome barriers and difficulties, many agricultural products and specialties meet high quality and international standard criteria. Thus, they are not only widely consumed domestically, but also exported to many countries around the world.
4 tons of Phie beef noodle spices have been officially exported to the U.S. It is considered a favorable start for exporting Phie specialties to many countries worldwide.
The first export orders were to the U.S. and Australia. The most difficult issues are the food safety standards and quality indicators in the host country.
In Hue City, 107 products are recognized as OCA products, ranging from 3 to 5 stars. Some of these agricultural and specialty products have been exported to various countries, though on a relatively small scale. In addition to promoting trade, management agencies have also regularly updated food hygiene and safety requirements. They are promoting the benefits of the FDA agreements that Vietnam has signed, which support businesses in developing and enhancing their brands.
We regularly update strict requirements for business product quality. promote e-commerce and encourage participation in enterprise digital transformation. We will continue to implement projects to improve product quality and innovate designs.
If Vietnamese businesses create unique products closely associated with the identity of their homeland, more Vietnamese agricultural products will be present in foreign markets in the future.
The High Green Trường Sa program, which aimed at planting 1 million trees in Trường Sa district of Khánh Hòa province, was officially launched on Wednesday in Hanoi. The initiative is a joint effort between the Vietnam People's Navy and MB Bank. Planting 1 million trees in Trường Sa will help create a green shield to prevent erosion, stabilize sand, and protect infrastructure, ecosystems, and the environment for military personnel and civilians on the islands. The total estimated budget for the project is $6 million, and it is funded by MB Bank and other domestic and international organizations and communities. Now, 5 decades have passed, but the events of April 30th, 1975 are still recalled by international friends with admiration and respect. Some international friends still keep special memories of this important day. Some have even become researchers studying Vietnam and still follow its development today.
In October 1964, an urban guerrilla fighter in Caracas, Venezuela, planned to kidnap an American officer to pressure the release of Vietnamese patriot Nguyen Van Troy. Although the plan failed, it still had a huge impact on the world, contributing to the international movement to support the resistance of the Vietnamese people. Half a century later, for these former urban guerrillas in Caracas, the memory of April 30th, 1975 still cannot be erased.
I remember hearing the news of Vietnam's victory on April 30th, 1975, when I was preparing for my university graduation ceremony. Immediately, the student movement was organized to spread this special information through loudspeakers and drawing anti-war propaganda posters. Vietnam's victory was an encouragement for us.
For Argentine journalist Gaston Fiorda, Vietnam has always been a special country. In 2023, he came to Vietnam to research the country's war of resistance against the U.S. He talked with many historical witnesses, military heroes, and soldiers who participated in the historic Ho Chi Minh campaign.
Learning from them, I know that the traces of war are still deeply engraved in the memory of each person. Many of them, including their descendants, still have to suffer the severe consequences of Agent Orange. However, Vietnam has shown the world that it is a resilient and invincible nation.
50 years have passed since the milestone of April 30th, 1975. From a country heavily devastated by war, after nearly 40 years of rebuilding, Vietnam has become a symbol of peace. The world recognizes it as a success story, a nation that bounced back after war.
Nowadays, Vietnam has become a model country with open trade and a private economic strategy under the socialist state's management. I believe that many countries should follow Vietnam.
The historical values of the great victory in 1975 have always been engraved in the hearts of international friends. They also believe that Vietnam is ready to enter a new era.
And as April begins, communities nationwide display the national flag to celebrate the 50th anniversary of national reunification. In Residence 26, Ward 5, Gò Vấp District, Ho Chi Minh City, 580 households have raised the flag. The widely adopted National Flag Street initiative fosters patriotism and national pride, especially among the younger generation. Tunnel, Sun in the Dark will premiere on April 4th and screen throughout the month. The film, marking the 50th anniversary of Vietnam's reunification, stands out for its young cast, actors born well after the war, who breathed new life into the heroic and tragic battles of the legendary Cu Chi tunnels. Their performances offer a fresh perspective on the guerrilla fighters of the entire American resistance.
For 2 months, the young cast underwent intensive battlefield training and learned tunnel survival techniques like actual wartime guerrillas. They also met with veterans, survivors of that historic era, and legendary Gucci fighter.
My character is based on a real-life hero, To Van Duk. I received invaluable guidance from him and other veterans who instilled in me the spirit of wartime resilience. Of course, I felt fear of death, fear of battle. But when someone invades your homeland, you cannot remain passive. Their optimism and unwavering patriotism were essential. It's impossible to fight without such spirit.
Fierce close quarters combat unfolds within the cramped tunnels where life and death hang in the balance. Beyond depicting war's raw brutality, the film immerses audience in the emotions, camaraderie, and fleeting moments of humanity that defy these young guerrilla fighters' life amid the flames of conflict.
Beyond war, the characters like Ba Huong are just like today's Gen Z. They are 19 or 20, still naive in love, still innocent. I wanted to bring out those everyday moments, the real, raw emotions of youth through my character.
The script doesn't glorify one side over the other. It doesn't create exaggerated heroes. These were ordinary people, but they had ideals. That's what made them heroes.
From the veterans' stories and my filming experience, I now truly understand the extraordinary nature of their fight and what they endured for our independence. We stand tall today because they shouldered the burden of war with humility.
In 120 minutes, Tunnel, Sun in the Dark weaves together stories of camaraderie, love, and survival. But above all, it stands as a testament to the spirit of sacrifice for one's homeland. Through this journey, each young actor has discovered their own answer to the profound question, what is the true cost of peace?
Coming up next on VTV News. Another Myanmar's earthquake victim rescued. Russia and the US to hold a second normalization talk in Istanbul. We now turn to updates on the situation in Myanmar. After many hours of effort, the Vietnamese rescue team, along with Turkish and Myanmar rescue forces, pulled a 26-year-old man alive out of the rubble of a hotel in the capital, Nay Pyi Taw, 5 days after the earthquake. When the rescue team reached the trapped victim, he could still speak. The young man was immediately transferred to a medical facility. Also on Wednesday afternoon, the Ministry of Public Security of Vietnam's rescue team found the bodies of 2 more earthquake victims and handed them over to authorities and their families. Russia announced on Tuesday that a second meeting with the U.S. to normalize relations is scheduled in Istanbul. Speaking at a press briefing in Moscow, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said Russia and the United States are focusing on finding a solution to the Ukrainian conflict and eliminating factors affecting bilateral relations. One meeting took place in Istanbul and a second is being scheduled. In the meantime, communication between the two countries continues through phone calls and video conferences. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov affirmed that the U.S. is also showing its determination to remove obstacles to diplomatic activities between the two countries. The European Commission EC made a bold proposal allowing EU member states, especially those that share a border with Russia, to use the EU budget to strengthen their defense capabilities. The European Commission's proposal allows the redirection of up to 392 billion euros to strengthen defense capabilities, especially in frontline countries. Because EU treaties prohibit using the budget to finance the military directly, the new proposal offers a clever circumvention solution. Accordingly, the money will be used for dual-use civil-military projects. The new proposal has been welcomed by many member states, especially those that share a border with Russia. But some countries are concerned that using the Cohesion Fund for defense purposes could affect the economic and social development goals of the European Union. A new law implemented in Belgium on Tuesday prevents cigarettes or tobacco products from being displayed in shops. Supermarkets and other shops bigger than 400 square meters are also now forbidden to sell cigarettes altogether. The measures are intended to limit the visibility of cigarettes and other addictive products, with the hope of curbing impulse purchases, and together form part of a plan to eliminate tobacco use altogether. The move is part of a national plan to create a smoke-free generation by 2040. The Belgian government is currently considering extending the smoking ban to public areas. And as usual, let's move on to the weather forecast. And that's all the news we have for this hour. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app VTVgo or check out our YouTube channel VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.